I have to use this camera now because my other camera is broken. All the videos seem to be out of sync with my mouth, so I can't use it. So I bought another one. It's going to be a few days before it arrives, but um, I, yeah, I have. I want to talk about something like very dark, I guess. And because it's going to be very dark, I'm going to try and like talk about other things first. What have I done? Paying bills. I haven't had that many clients, but I've had like one client that has shown up like 4 times in the last 2 weeks, and he has 2 hour sessions. So I've actually managed to pay off. There's a lot of bills that I had coming up, and I've managed to kind of. It's weird because I have just about done it, and it's just like I haven't even seen that. I've only seen one person, but it's almost like the universe kind of brings people to me when I need money the most, and I find that happens a lot. Like I'm not rich, and I do not have a huge amount of wealth at all. But if I have like a bill, a large bill, like an insurance or something that comes up, and I can't pay it, I find that the universe seems to bring enough people into my sort of my phone call range to get that. But anyway, um, and yes, so I've not only paid off the £400 insurance, I've also got next month's council tax as well, and I didn't think that I would get that in 2 weeks. So I'm actually quite kind of good for the next few weeks. But yeah, my fish tank, the one that was on the floor. During the day, there's like a sun that comes past, and there's like a sun on the. There's a window, a roof window. I don't know if you can see it. There's a roof window up there, and then there's a track of a light track goes, and when it gets to the why can't I can't angle it. No, that way. Why can't I see it? There. See the fish tanks in the bottom. It's just the fish tanks there, I couldn't. But the water inside it's basically going green, and I can't clean it because it's plastic. It doesn't clean properly. That's why you have to have glass tanks, not a plastic tank, because plastic doesn't clean very well. And it's basically the water is clean, but I have to keep changing it every 2 or 3 days because every time the sunlight goes past it, it just makes it go green really quickly, and all the stuff inside it's gone green. I've tried to wash it, and if I've got out some of the green mold, but yeah. Basically, I need a new fish tank, and I found one. It was only £30, and it's 55 litres. But yeah, I'm going to go for it. And knowing me, I'll probably end up keeping my fish during the winter. I'm getting attached to them. I don't like to leave them. You know, there's 3 adults in there, and I was thinking I could take the adults out and then just put the babies in now, because there's quite a lot of babies in there, and if those babies become the size of that, then there's no way I'm going to be able to keep them in those two things. And even if I get the 55 litre one, which I've got, and I'm just my dad's going to pick it up next week, and but yeah, I don't know, I'm going to have to take some back to the shop, but I don't think I'll be able to take all of them back to the shop, so I don't know. But yes, if I'm working and earning money, then I can afford to have them all winter. And so that's how kind of like low my budget is right now. I don't feel like I can even afford 2 fish tanks over the winter, but at the same time, I do like them. And now that I've been forced to take out to get a proper fish tank, I might end up just having 2 fish tanks over the winter, and just accepting that it costs about £30. No, it's about £30 a month to have 2 fish tanks. But yeah, technically, I can make 16 an hour. So that's if I just see 2 or 3 clients, and then I'd be like, that's my fish covered all winter. But yes, I'm not seeing many people, but I'm seeing enough to pay for that. And but yeah, I'm getting angrier and angrier and angrier because my life is shit, basically, and I'm feeling more and more depressed. And each year I keep coming up with a new plan, one that involves working with people, one that involves talking to people, one where people come and say, okay, yeah, we see the reason why you're God, and we're going to help you. And each year, no one does that. And I feel more and more cut off, more and more isolated, and mass genocide of every human. Yeah, I'm now in favor of that. I'm like, I don't give a shit. You know, if you want to create some sort of fake pandemic, choose the people you want to hit. I really do not care any longer. And it does bother me what that TYT guy said, because he was saying that anyone who supports genocide is a monster. And I just don't think he realizes how awful people's lives are. You know, his life is not bad. His life, he's got a news agency, or, you know, a big podcast online, and you know, all these, I just don't understand though. He's so in favor of not having genocide and making everyone live so that the population keeps doubling you know, Gaza's such a small area, and he was saying that the idea of genocide in Gaza is just awful. And I think now that all the houses are being destroyed, it's even more, I'm actually more in favour of it. You know, if the houses were fairly nice and people could have okay, there was a lot of poverty there. You know, I want genocide. Definitely I want genocide. But I want genocide to the people who are suffering, the people who are starving, the people who keep having more and more kids even though they can't afford to look after them. You know, I want genocide of the people who are causing problems in this world. You know, immigration is fine if the people immigrating know that they can get a job, know that they can pay bills. You know, if you're in a country and you're actually okay in that country because you know you can get a job and you know you can work, you just know that you can earn a little bit more if you went to a different country. You know, I think those types of immigrants are good immigrants. You know, people who have skills, have a lot to offer, people who can go to another country and get a decent job and fit in with society and embrace the culture, and then there's another type of immigrant that's just mad, mentally ill, and a liar. They, you know, they'll say how awful their hometown is, and yet they'd still go back to their hometown for a holiday and stuff like that, and you know, and just, I don't know, just the world is falling apart more and more and more, and I'm supporting genocide more and more and more. And you know, if the rich elites who have all the money, you know, created some sort of fake pandemic where they literally just go round to the people they don't like, and or the people that they don't like for a justified reason, let's just say that, you know, if there's a couple of people, if there's a few hundred people homeless, give them a house, okay? But if you've got a few thousand people homeless and you've already given thousands of people homes because they were homeless, and now they're not homeless but there's more, you know, if the numbers of homelessness and people living in tents and people who can't get a job or don't want to work or come up with excuses as to why they can't work, or are mentally ill, you know, their mental state is falling apart and they're just standing on people's doorsteps staring at them whilst they're freaking out, or trying to enter into people's houses illegally, you know, by force when they're even there to attack or something. You know, I saw some things online yesterday that really, you know, the idea that Islam is taking over Europe, you know, it's I think it's a very real issue, because I'm seeing more and more things online now. Are people just trying to aggravate people? Yes, probably. In which case you could say that they're the terrorists for trying to create, you know, trying to stir up trouble. You know, if there's a Muslim ceremony going on, you know, it's going to be full of Muslims. I know that. And maybe they're just taking these clips and saying that this is what it's like all the time now. And the thing is, though, I'm seeing it all the time now, so it's becoming, I believe it more and more. And I do not support the Muslims' belief or culture or anything, you know, to think that women should walk around wearing those horrible garments and stuff. And I hate the garments. I see them all the time, people walking around in religious garments around here, because it's quite a Muslim area. It's not a Muslim area, but there's a lot of Muslims in my area, and so I'm often seeing people walk around in these ugly robes that just have no colour, no taste, no fashion, no nothing in it, and you know, I don't like it. I don't like seeing it. I don't, because it makes me think, what kind of person would wear that? I would never wear that. You would have to pay me a lot of money each day for me to wear that. If you said, I'll give you £10 a day if you wear this religious garment, I would say 100% no. If you say, would you give me £50 a day to wear? No, I wouldn't. I don't think I would even. the female ones particularly, that the female black garment, if you were giving me 50 or 200 pounds a day to wear that, I can wear that providing I have that on for from dawn till dusk every single day. I would not do it. You would have to give me like a lot of money for me to do that, and to think that people are doing it for free, you know, I just feel like it's a mental illness. It's brainwashing, it's mental illness, and there's so many problems here, you know. That's not, Islam is not the only problem here. There's a huge number of just people not caring, and I know other people screaming at each other when I don't believe they genuinely care for others, you know. Like that Muslim guy, if I told him that I'm supporting of a genocide and something bad happened to me, would he care about me? Or would he just think, oh no, you're just a genocide supporter? You know, does that, I don't, he's fighting for the wrong people, and people who fight for the wrong people annoy me, because the wrong people are the reason why Earth is so bad, and there's a lot of them, and therefore, you know, I don't know what the future holds, and I keep trying to work it out, and I keep coming up with a new plan. At the beginning, a few years ago, it was just come and talk to me and we'll promote myself as Christ and see who believes, and if they don't, we'll do nothing. I don't care, you know. They'll see in time that I start talking through songs and films, and they'll go mad. But you know, and then as time has gone on, I've started linking to more and more songs, more and more singers, more and more angels, and there's all these false religions going around about getting into heaven, and just through some sort of spiritual Stargate, and this sounds amazing, because I hope a lot of people believe it and just go and be like, and then they go by choice, you know. I like the idea of going by choice, but I'm wondering if, you know, I'm wondering if there should be a darker plan, which AJ Miller, I believe, is the real Jesus. Okay, not magical or anything, just a normal person. The elites promote him as being the real Jesus, and then and put him on the public scene, but don't actually work with him, don't actually talk to him, don't do anything. Just take the things that he said, maybe get a couple of interviews where you charge him next to nothing. Do a couple of interviews with him where you give him next to nothing financially, and then just take these clips and put them online and say, yeah, we believe that this guy is the real Jesus. See who comes up against him and says that this isn't the real Jesus, and then create some sort of fake pandemic that just gets rid of like a huge number of people through some sort of fake COVID. And you know, that's what a lot of people, when COVID came, a lot of people thought that these vaccines were actually just poison and they're going to kill everyone and stuff. There was a lot of people saying things like that. And I feel like my hatred towards the world and my hatred towards life is just, it's that bad that I want that. Like, I don't want to say it, because I know that these are not sort of conversations that you should be posting online and stuff, but I'm really just feel like I'm trapped, like, you know, Beauty and the Beast, where she's trapped in a sort of house or in a room, and there's this beast around. So the beast is like the world and just all horrible, crappy people. Well, no, the beast is actually some sort of spirit that lives inside people. And if I have like a £400 house insurance bill plus 2 months worth of council tax plus bills plus a fish tank that I need to buy plus a holiday, £2,000 worth of holiday that I want to save up for, you know, I feel like the spirit would work in people and then just get them to randomly call me. Oh, I haven't spoken to you for 2 years. You know, are you working again? And it's like, oh yeah, I had, like, on the day I first saw people, I had some person who I've seen for a very, very long time call me up and you know, almost talk and imply that he knew that I'd started back, but I'm just like, but I didn't text you, so how did you know? And it was really weird, but that's happened a few times. So I haven't done any advertising, and yet for some reason I seem to be able to get clients, and it's almost like there's a spirit that's inside people, and it's got a few people to me, which has helped me to just make like a few. But yeah, it's just, if this spirit is going to set up some sort of fake pandemic. And just how will people react though to that? You know, this AJ Miller guy has been exposed as being Christ. There's going to be a whole bunch of religious people who are against this person, and then they will mysteriously die. A lot of, you know, they will mysteriously die of COVID, and then you can kind of see it as a miracle that this guy maybe killed all these people, even though he has absolutely no idea what's going on or why he's being promoted or anything, because, you know, none of the people who promote him have actually spoken to him or talked to him. So you keep completely separate from him. He'll be confused as to what's going on, but this sort of fake pandemic will rise up afterwards and just wipe out the people who most are at the bottom of, you know, there's a list of good people versus bad people. It's not black and white. There's a big range, you know. Even Muslims, I think there's a lot of Muslims that are just being respectful to their family, and there's a lot of Mayor Muslims. And what's that about? Like, why are there a huge number of mayors that are Muslim? It's almost like, you know, I said that I think Christians should be against Christians and Muslims against Muslims. I'm wondering if that's got anything to do with it. Like, are these Muslims that are getting in power and becoming, you know, mayors of country of areas, you know, are they people who know about me and know that there's some sort of coming war, and you know, being a Muslim is supposed to mean doing the will of God. And well, if you've seen all the proof that I'm God and you know what my will is, well, unfortunately, you know what's going to come next. And this is my will, which is for this, just for there to be a divide and a sort between those who should stay and those who should leave. And most should be done by choice. You know, really, I support choice. You know, do you want to go to heaven and be with Jesus, or be with God the Father, or be with whatever you want to be with the angels, or whatever, I don't know, or whatever, just be in paradise, or live with the other star seeds in some other world. You know, do you want to do that, or do you want to stay on earth? You know, that's the choice, and I think most people should be done by choice. But I'm getting really, really angry now, and my will now is just to wipe out the people that are causing problems, and to stop listening to guys like the TYT guy. I don't even know his name. I can't even remember his name. I can't remember what his name is. I've been watching his videos for 12 years and I cannot remember his name. That's pretty bad. But Kirk, is it? It might be Kirk. I don't know. So if there's some plot to just, you know, if there's a bunch of people who are strongly mentally ill, strongly, you know, just and not being taken care of, you know, if they're mentally ill and they've got parents that are looking after them well, or family members that are, you know, appreciating them, enjoying them, that's different. But if there's mentally ill people that have just been abandoned on the streets because no one likes them, maybe they steal off their family, and maybe there's a bad relationship, you know, just create the pandemic, make it look like it was all inspired by this Jesus AJ Miller guy, and somehow he's made it happen through lies, but make it look like maybe people are rejecting him, and they're the ones that are all going first, and then expose me. You come and get me first, though. I want you to come and talk to me first, and then expose AJ Miller. And I need a year to recover, because right now I'm really, really, really depressed and just angry, and I hate the world, and I hate how I've not got to live the life that I wanted, and you know, I've not lived a good life at all. And you know, the TYT guy, I don't think can understand that, because he's lived a good life. He's got his dream, he got his platform, he got his audience. I mean, technically, if you look at his videos, you'll see that actually most of them are talking about Anna's breast or something like that, you know, asking silly questions about how big they are, or wonder if they should sleep with me, or, you know, if you look at the comments of these, they're having a discussion about genocide and the seriousness of genocide. And if you go through the comments, most of them are just like, oh yeah, we need to kill the people that want genocide, and isn't that genocide? And then there's other ones that are just about sex, and then, you know, are they even is that guy even reading his comments to know just the standard of Earth? You know, this isn't me picking on one group of people. This is me picking on everyone and thinking that genocide is the answer, because there's just so many terrible people in this world. and you just look at these comments and you think, are these real people or are they just sort of robots? I feel like the world is full of robots, and I don't know why he's not seeing that, but it's annoying. You know, he's living a good life. He's got his funding. He's got his house. I don't know what his house. I don't know what his living situations are, or his. I don't know anything about him. I just know that he's obviously living a good life because he's got a platform. He's being listened to. He's obviously got enough money to do what he's doing. I've never heard him talk about financial struggles or anything. So, you know, he's in a different position to other people who are not in a good position, who can only just afford to pay the bills and just have no money left over for anything. You know, we want to die. We don't want to be here. And therefore, if you're finding people that are just not wanting to be here and you help them to leave, even if it's not their choice, I don't see that as a problem, because they don't want to live in suffering. They don't want to do this, even though they'll fight, you know, they'd fight to survive if they thought that, you know, death was death. But anyway, my battery's low.